Good morning, friends. I hope you're all well today. So, obviously, France is very, very famous for civil unrest, anarchy, and revolution. It's practically a national pastime. From the French Revolution to the June Revolution to the July Revolution to a good old Paris Commune to Yellow Vest protests a bit more recently. You can't say that they don't know how to bring a little bit of chaos to the streets. Although, in this particular case, this is certainly a new flavour of chaos because over the recent weekend, there was the Fête de la Musique, apparently a very, very big music festival nationally around all of France, in many, many major cities, towns, and obviously the capital city of Paris. Although this one is very peculiar because it seems to have been plagued by 145 cases of women reporting that they'd been pricked with syringes by random strangers, which is not something that, for all of the faults of the French, I don't think is something that they're traditionally known for. And so what you have here is just absolutely bewildering set of events, because this was not just those 145 cases were not all in Paris. These were around France. These were all around France. And what you have, of course, is so this music festival as well seems to have been one that actually was about all different genres, right? So you would think that, well, if you might go to the classical music section, I'm just hedging my bets that this would have been less likely to have happened to you than, say, for example, you went to the rap section. Now, I'm just putting ideas out there. I'm not saying anything. But what is absolutely certain is that 12 people were detained over this as suspects, and no possible information has come out about who these, let's face it, they were men, who these men were. So obviously, given that they are blank slates, mysterious men, we shall just politely refer to them as ninjas, okay? So what we have here is a case of ninjas with syringes going all about France. And when a woman goes along and thinks, oh, I might go see one of my favourite bands, actually what she's going to do is she's going to be in the hospital that night looking at a toxicology report. And it's obviously absolutely awful that this has happened. This is just, you know, I mean that's a scary thing, right? I mean, I'm sure to be spiked at a, you know, at a bar and have something put in your drink is one thing, but to actually just feel a needle being forced into the side of your body by someone at a festival, that in itself must be a really, really scary experience. And yeah, who knows what sorts of substances these men are putting in those syringes, because that's another thing as well, that the police don't seem to have clarified what the substances were from these toxicology reports. But obviously, if we look here at the streets of Paris over this weekend, you can see here. Now, I know that this looks like a crowd from Sudan. I know that this looks like it could have been taking place in Khartoum, perhaps a mix of Marrakesh or Algiers thrown in there. But obviously, we have to understand that these sorts of crowds are the perfect places that ninjas like to hide in. And so even though we don't know who these people were, we do know the sorts of crowds that they like to blend into so that they can randomly spear women with syringes. And so this is obviously perfectly normal. This is, you know, when if I've been to a gig at night, say somewhere in Scarborough, perhaps, this is exactly how we all leave the venue. We leave with smoke behind us, running in a very disorderly manner, looking very, very shady, and like we're running from some possible crimes. That's just how you leave a music venue. And so if I show here as well, this gets even more interesting because again, this is now. I know that these people look like they have absolutely no self-control whatsoever. They look very, very violent. We should actively remind ourselves that we don't know who the people are who are syringing. The ninjas have much more subtle tactics than this, right? This is something that a ninja could never pull off with a syringe. These people would never syringe anyone. And again, this is just part and parcel of living in the big city, I suppose. This is what the French wanted their streets to be like. And we have here, it's not just Paris. There's also a case of in Annecy in France, which I had a look, is near the Swiss border. So, Swiss, I'd shore up that particular border if I were you. You have here a primary school was set ablaze. Again, perfectly normal thing to happen after a nationwide music festival. So you have here just local people, mayor saying it's a disaster, it's a school, and it's important for everyone. I met teachers who were shocked. There's a lot of emotion. Well, I'm sure there is a lot of shock and a lot of emotion, but ultimately, let's face it, would the French establishment, in order to keep the French safe, would they rather ban the music festival now because people can't be trusted not to syringe French citizens, or would they rather keep them safe by banishing the ninjas from France? Because I suspect that the French authorities would sooner ban the festival than ban the actual people who were committing the crimes. And this is something that, as more and more stories come out like this, which are just so bewildering, so against the idea of civilization and European manners. This is just wild. I couldn't believe this when I was reading it, despite everything that's gone on in the past few years. And so what you have is, of course, that the French authorities will not catch up with the genuine seriousness of the problem, and things will continue to escalate like this. It will create more distrust, there will be more alienation, and eventually, well, if we know anything about the French national character, there will be some criminality and anarchy of a much more nationalistic bent, I imagine, a much more French national character. And so I just hope for everyone's sake that eventually some patriotic government can be put into France that can restore some amount of order to the streets, because frankly, this is something that any Parisian or Frenchman or woman, frankly, should not have to contend with when going about and trying to enjoy a weekend in France.